Hey everybody, I'm Sam Loy, and I'm here to talk about my draft data collection instruments for my capstone project, the Recognition Project. Quick agenda. We're going to go through a project intro. I'll let you know what my project's about and the model that I'm using to conduct it. Then we'll go through the three different things that I am going to be collecting data on and the methods that I'm using. And then finally, I'll give you a status next steps on each of those. So the Recognition Refresh Project. Essentially, I'll be using this moderated mediation model. Um, it's a conceptual model that shows the effects of recognition programs on employee satisfaction scores. And the goal of the project is to refresh our current recognition programs in order to improve employee satisfaction, taking into account employees' levels of motivation, performance, and trust in their team and their team context. So, are they remote, hybrid, in person? And to achieve this, I'm going to need to understand a few different pieces of data, right? So, what's our current employee satisfaction scores from our employee survey? What are the different recognition programs that are currently available? What's that menu look like, and how accessible are they? And then, what are employee preferences? Go right to the source, the people that we're trying to recognize and make feel valued. And what are some of the gaps that exist in the current offerings that we could possibly fill? So to achieve that, we're going to look at a couple different pieces of data. Two of these are going to be document review and these unobstructive data sources that I'll be looking at, and then one of them will be a survey. So the first is our employee signals results. That's just our biannual employee survey that we do. So we'll get into that a little bit. The second is that menu of current recognition programs that I talked about before. And then the last would be an employee survey of my own creation that I would send out to my organization to get their feedback. So, document review number one, employee signals results. We want to analyze and compare the results from the last poll that we took, which was November 2024, and then hopefully be able to compare them to the ones that we should be taking around end of April. So, we should get those back by June. So, employee signals. This is a biannual report or biannual survey, I should say, that Microsoft employees take. It's a short, focused survey designed to generate insights, learning, and action to help employees thrive. So, when we take this survey, it's a bunch of different stuff and it spits out this Thrive score, but it categorizes different things. So, recognition satisfaction is one that keeps popping for my team, which is called the Rolling Benjamins. And year over year, it's continued to go down. So, this little screenshot at the bottom shows that we have a score of 66 out of 100. The little arrow at the top shows that it's gone down. It's actually down, it's 3 points less than the company average, so all up Microsoft, and it's gone to down 2 points year over year. So since we last took it in the spring. And if you were to look at the results over the last few years, it has actually continued to decline. And you'll see here too at the side, there's 0 comments, right? So what that tells me is there's really only one question about this. The scores keep going down and nobody's giving any feedback. So we don't really have a lot of information to go off of. And when we talked about this as a team, a Culture V team, which is just a volunteer team of people from within the organization that get together and take these survey results and try to implement changes so that we can improve them. Everybody had a different idea of what recognition was. So that's what kind of sparked the idea for the project in general. Is like, let's understand what the preferences are. What do people think about? How do we fill those gaps? So my idea is to take the results from the fall, take a look at those, understand those, which we've already kind of done, and then be able to compare them to results from the next survey, which will happen around end of April, like I said. So between when we last took them and when we take them again, anything that we've done, which has been a couple things we'll get into now, and this whatever comes out of this project, we'll see if that's moved the needle at all for us, which would be pretty cool. The next one is going to be that current recognition program assessment. So understanding the existing offerings. Like I said, I'm on this V team, this volunteer team that works on culture and morale. We started compiling a list of those initiatives just to be able to say, hey, everybody, here's what we have. So when we're taking that poll, even if we don't make a single change to the offering, at least now you know exactly what you have available to you. So when you're taking that, those are the things that you can keep in mind. I'm going to go through next 2 slides that we presented at an all hands meeting last week that talked about that. So the goal is to understand what's already available, how accessible it is it easy to be a part of, is it easy to win in the case of like awards and promotions and things? And do we have different options for different preferences? So that's been a big thing that's bubbled up is people like to be recognized in different ways, and some feedback and some recognition could be more impactful than others for certain people. So these are the slides that we presented at the all hands meeting. Basically that same screen grab that I showed you earlier about our scores, and then I'm kind of blocking it with my head, but we asked everybody to put into a Teams poll. It was a word cloud. When you think of the word recognition or when you hear that topic, what words come to mind? And when that got pulled out, when we saw that awards was a big one. So that wasn't, very surprising based on some conversations we'd already had. But I think people were chiming in our Teams chat of like, oh, like this is cool. We didn't realize other people thought of different things. So these are the 4 buckets that we ran with. So we've got monetary recognition, we've got formal recognition, we've got verbal and written recognition. So, maybe a little bit more informal, and then non-monetary benefits. So it kind of divvies up between things that you earn money for, things that are based off of like numbers and data, so bonuses, promotions, sales contests, formal programs, so things like symbolic awards and certificates, this peer-to-peer recognition program that we have going on, Perspectives, which is our like feedback that you can give formally in our tool in the employees hub. Then there's verbal and written, which is a lot of using like our company tools. So Microsoft products, Teams, Outlook, Stream, things like that. And whether that's written or verbal, whether that's private or public, those kind of things. And then there's those non-monetary benefits, which there's really not a lot of, we found, but earned time off. We have unlimited time off, so that one's not really a thing. Professional development opportunities, so things like this class that I'm taking, that could be considered one, or like swag or small gifts. And then this is a list. It's not huge, but it's pretty comprehensive of what some of those programs are, where to find them. So we shared this with the team so that everybody could see, hey, here's everything we've got. This is the menu. Here's where you can find them. Here's how you can submit nominations or take part in them. And I think it's still growing. We want to do more than this, but this was a way for us to say, hey, look, here's what we've got. Over on the left, top left, Microsoft Awards, those are like all up Microsoft. So they're a little bit less accessible because there's a huge pool of people. And you really have to like do something wow to earn the Gold Club Award, let's say, which like last year was a trip to Hawaii and like a big awards thing. Whereas something like video recognition or grassroots appreciation, like on Teams over on the right-hand side of this, is much easier, much more accessible. The Rolling Benjamin Quarterly Awards are just for our little org. So it's a lot easier to like win and be seen. So we're trying to make sure that all perspectives are covered. And then the last piece is the survey, the employee signals. So we want to hear, or not employee signals, my survey that I'm creating. We want to hear directly from the team in a little bit more depth than what we were getting in those employee signals, like all up Microsoft surveys that I talked about earlier. This is just the intro that I wrote. I actually based this off some of the documents that I found on Canvas for the class. So that's cited at the end here, but essentially it says who I am, what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, how I'm doing it, what's going to be collected. It's anonymous, all of that stuff. And it'll be run through Microsoft Forms. So pretty easy for everybody who I work with to take. And it's blocked out into 2 sections. So the first section is all focused on recognition and those questions that I was talking about. It's got 2 open-ended questions, 1 net promoter score, which is just like on a scale of 1 to 10, 3 Likert scale, 1 multiple choice, which could be as select as, all that apply, and then 3 rankings. I linked in the actual discussion post. You can click on the link and go see the questions for yourself if you'd like and give feedback on those. But it basically just talks about like, what are your preferences? Which ones have more impact? There's a kind of a comparison. There's 3 questions about like rank your preferences from receiving recognition from peers versus leadership versus, your manager. Are those different? Are they the same across the board? How does recognition impact your motivation at work, your performance at work, your sense of trust and belonging at work? There's 2 open-ended. Again, that question of what is recognition, like what words come to mind. And then kind of a place for you to just put in, like, do you have any ideas? Is there anything that you'd like to see? Is there anything at maybe a company that you used to work at that you liked that you would want to see here? And then, like, how often do you feel valued by your pod, by your organization, by our like all up Microsoft global media sales organization? And then how often do you receive it from different people? And then the second part of this is a little bit more like, I'm going to air quote demographic. It's not really, it's one open-ended question about what your role is, and then two multiple choice in terms of how long have you been at Microsoft and like what's your primary working environment. So in a typical week, where do you sit? Are you fully hybrid or fully remote? Are you fully in person? Are you hybrid, more than 3 days or less than 3 days? And then, like I said, it's going to be conducted via forms. It'll be distributed to all members of my organization, Rolling Benjamins, via a Teams channel post. So that's what's on here. I have that ready to go. You can see it's anonymous, so you can't track anybody's name, but you do have to have a Microsoft email in order to participate. And then there's a QR code that I'll send out to people too if they want to take it that way. And then you can also check it out on this link. I also attached the slides to my post. And then next steps. So next steps for the document reviews, both of those are already in progress. I've already been looking at the poll results from last year. We will wait. I don't know if we'll get them in time before the end of this class because that'll be early May, but I'll be able to at least use what we have from the previous years. We're already looking at those programs. I'd like to go a little bit more in detail on those and kind of understand more about how accessible those are. And then the survey, I'm hoping to get out this week based on feedback from the team. So if anybody does have feedback, please let me know. Would love to send that out before the end of the week and get the ball rolling there and give people plenty of time. So that's it for me. Again, Sam Loy. If you have questions or feedback, feel free to pop them in the discussion, or you can give me an email. And then these are just some of the resources that I used. But thank you for listening. Have a good night.